All right, so I'm just gonna start talking so I can make sure your voice is picked up too.
Okay, so is everything coming through all right?
Yeah, looks like it pretty well. Okay, perfect.
Perfect.
All right, so I'm going to let's see. You're a noir songbird,
Yes,
so I guess I'll just call you songbird or bird.
that'll do. That'll do.
All right. So let's see. I guess you have your stuff already kind of set up here, and I am still very much a novice at this.
That's all right. It's not like I give interviews professionally or anything,
Yeah, me
so.
neither. I'm just like, okay, this is happening. We need to make awareness to it, and we're just gonna go with it.
Like, honestly, I wish I'd known this stuff when I. Here's the thing. Anime Pavilion is literally like a local anime store that I had been going to for years and years before I started working there.
No, it's a local anime store. You said.
Yeah, their physical location is like near where I live.
I see. Are you?
So I was actually like working in Steve's store regularly. I did convention stuff for him and I was initially hired for conventions, but because I was a bluntly grown-ass adult who didn't have to go to school every day, I ended up basically being his backup store manager.
I get you, cause yeah, I notice he goes to a lot of conventions that I go to, and those are ones that stretch from like the West Coast to the East Coast.
Yeah, Steve is out of the store for like 99% of the summer
Okay,
for
99.
the heavy con season. Yeah, basically, this is almost a blessing. We pretty much only saw him like on days between cons when he
Days.
was pulling in for a couple of days to get restocked.
I see. So restock. So that means he actually sells like a lot of now. As someone who worked there, would you say the majority of his venture was made through the storefront or through conventions?
Definitely through conventions. We had certain things in the storefront that would turn in a lot of money. We were, for instance, there's a couple comic book shops in this area, but we were the only one that would host Yu-Gi-Oh players because, and here is one good thing about Steve being a giant jerk. Steve was the only giant jerk willing to stand up to the other giant jerks in the Yu-Gi-Oh community who would like bully and harass kids.
Oh no, that's okay.
Yeah,
That actually happens. I thought people were just being
no, that
silly
is
about
not an
that.
exaggeration. When I was a teenager going to Anime Pavilion, um, and I was like figuring out how to play, and I was building decks that were meant to be fun, not meant to be competitive, because I was 16.
Exactly. Like I had a harpy. I
And
literally created the Harpy Lady deck because it's a giant troll deck.
yeah, so I was, building based off my favorite archetypes and whatever, and there were definitely older players who would like side eye me, who wouldn't treat me very well, who would act like I was beneath their notice because I wasn't trying to play in the advanced competitive division. And Steve was. A lot of other places in town just decided to ban Yu Gi Oh! Outright because it was causing too many problems for them. Steve was the only one who was willing to be like, no, I want to keep everybody here. I want to stand up for these people. And because Steve does things like that, I think it gives him a mystique that makes people willing to excuse all of the garbo that he does.
Ooh. It's like good job on the one time you're not a piece of trash.
Pretty much. And that's the thing is that like he gives his employees like phenomenal discounts. By the time I was actually working for him, I was more into Magic the Gathering, and like he would be happy to set aside a box from a new set for me and give it to me at a really deep discount because he knew I loved it.
Hmm.
And that kind of helps keep employees coming back because his employee discount is just so good
Hmm.
and he really does get you access to stuff.
It makes sense. I mean, of course you would want stuff like that. You're working at an anime store. I guess it kind of
Right,
sweet.
exactly.
It would sweeten the pot in a way.
Mhm.
Cause I know when I was young and couldn't work yet, like my dream was to work at an anime store because like the one local shop that I went to, the guy was a complete and utter boss, and it's like
Yeah, exactly. And, And the point that I was circling around to is a lot of our business in the physical store was done through card games. We'd sell tons of Yu-Gi-Oh! Once a week when we had the tournaments there. We did okay business on Magic the Gathering. We had Friday Night Magic every week. Because the official store manager was a big Magic the Gathering guy and is pretty much the guy that taught me everything I know about the game.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, all of my coworkers were fantastic. Everyone who I ever interacted with like literally one exception, who worked for Steve, was a pretty great person that I got along with. And that one exception, like, I told Steve that he made me feel uncomfortable and Steve never hired him again.
Well, okay, that's actually good. That's good.
Yeah, it doesn't excuse all the stuff he did, but, like, I don't want to say he tried, because it doesn't count. Like, when you are calling me on the phone to scream at me for an hour because you didn't tell me that something was urgent, and you're only telling me something is urgent after it's allegedly too late to fix, like...
Yeah, you can't
You're not trying.
Yeah, that's not trying.
He liked to put up the veneer of being more decent than he was. Which, again, is how he's gonna get people to stick around and work for him. Because you keep saying, but the benefits are so good. But he acts like he cares about me. But he acts like he's so decent. No.
All right. Well, yeah, no, because I mean, that's literally it right then and there. Just because someone is like doing something right doesn't mean that everything else behind their practice isn't, because during the last interview I posted it, a couple of commenters actually spoke up and said, you technically can't pay people like that. So whenever he's on the road and he gets these extra people to like work with him, he's paying them with merchandise. You're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, I was his, I did run a couple of conventions for him out of town. Like I said, I was primarily store, but there were weekends where he was doing like 4 or 5 conventions, and everybody was hands-on for conventions. Because these were the big weekends. And yeah, I ran a couple of cons for him, and he encouraged me to pay people in merchandise where I could. And it was such an obvious cheap out, but people were ready to take it.
Yeah, because a lot of people, it's like, oh, I just really want that set, or that, DVD box set.
The funniest thing is the people who are like, no, give me the giant llama plushie, and I'm like, I completely feel you.
Yeah, especially.
But like all of the silly merch that you would otherwise have to drop a lot of money on, okay, I'll help move boxes for a couple of hours, and I'll take a, merchandise as payment. But it's really not supposed to work that way.
It's not. It's actually not.
No. Paying in kind is not actually legal.
Yeah. I mean, there are some, now I do know there are some dealers who they don't call them dealers hall anymore. It's like exhibitor hall, and that just makes it sound like an exhibition is happening in there. But the point is, I know some, they pay whoever helps them volunteer and set up their thing, they pay them with an actual badge for the convention.
Yeah, that was another thing that Steve would do, is he would say, and it wasn't your whole pay, but he would definitely imply that, like, a portion of your pay is your badge for the convention.
Huh.
Which is all well and good, but when I'm at your booth for 8 hours, Steve, I can't exactly see the rest of the convention.
Exactly.
Like...
So it's like, oh, you get a badge, awesome, and now you're working.
Yeah, like, there were some panels I would have loved to go into at the convention, and nope, couldn't leave long enough. Even if I had trusted whoever I was physically with, because Steve would always send, like, me and one other person. It was never a single person that he was sending down as an ambassador. Good, reasonable, meant that we could divide the work. But even if I had left for a while, if Steve texted me and I wasn't physically at the booth, he would have lost his shit on me.
Ugh. Well, I mean, all right then. Well, I think that is a pretty good intro into the madness.
Yeah, so introduction to Steve. Yeah, he'll act like he's a great guy. He's not.
Well, Well, I mean, all right then. Okay, well that's the thing. So he'll act like a great guy, but he's not. That's basically a company in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well let's see. I have like a couple of things that I've written up. So first thing, first quip. How did you find out about the job?
Literally walked into the store to go buy some Magic the Gathering cards, and they had a hiring thing in the door. Well,
Oh,
like I said, it's my physical local, so I was like, oh, I have yet to get a job since getting out of college. I'll put in an application.
oh, that's
Sure.
and
And Steve and his manager happened to both be in the store at the time. They interviewed me basically on the spot and said, this was a couple weeks before Katsu, and said, hey, do you want to come down to Katsu and do a trial run? So I did.
that actually sounds like, I mean, to be honest, anyone who would get swept up in that would probably be like, yes, I want to keep doing this.
Right, it was the immediate endorphins of, oh my god, I have a job.
Like, he's like, wait, I have a job at a place that I love. Oh, wait, we're about to go to a convention? Hot ziggity.
Yeah, and Katsu is a local convention to me and to the physical store, so it was like, sure, I'll drive a half an hour to the resort and do that for you. It's literally right near where I am.
Now, how did that...
First...
Now, oh, I'm sorry. How did that first, I guess, job go?
Oh my god. So, here's the part where I admit openly that I really should have seen the red flags.
Oh, goodness.
I got there what I thought was on time, the time that he gave me that I should be there.
Mm-hmm.
He and his van were not there yet.
Okay.
I was stuck in the hotel and with no real direction, just kind of waiting around, hoping that somebody would contact me. Because I texted him, like, hey, what's up? And I'd called his store manager. I didn't realize that it was just a physical store phone at the time. They were running behind on packing by quite a bit. So I basically waited at the hotel for several hours. And when we did finally get started, we got minimal direction. I was not really told how to set things up. Several of the other people that were working to help him were also new to doing convention stuff because they were his local store associates, most of whom were, again, high school kids.
Mm.
And,
So what he actually
basically
did...
gave us no direction, and if something went wrong, if I didn't understand something, if I wasn't setting things up fast enough or doing it to his exact correct method, regardless of what any other method was, and mine had not explained his method to me at all, I was just supposed to, mystically intuit it, I guess. He screamed at me.
He's like, he's telling you to do something, and it's like, he expects you to do it a way that he doesn't even explain how it's supposed to be done.
Right, exactly.
We're not mind readers!
Steve, I have many things. I can't read your mind.
And that doesn't help that this was the very first time you were even working with him?
Yeah, I had never done any kind of convention work before, which he knew, because I told him.
Yeah, he had the interview with you, so he should have known.
Yeah, and he gave basically no direction. He just said, do this, and I was like, alright. So, I asked some of the other people for help, but a lot of them were also somewhat inexperienced, because, like I said, because it was a local convention, he could just grab some of the, high schoolers that were usually store associates and, have them help with setup and stuff. So, really should have seen the red flags. Did not.
Yeah, and...
Sort of ignored them.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, as someone who goes to conventions a lot, I know not everything ever happens on schedule. Have you ever been to a convention before prior to that?
Yes, I have been to, I'd been to several, not a ton, but, I had done cosplay occasionally. I'd been to, Katsu a couple of times, Anime USA, MagFest, that's pretty much it.
Okay, so it's like, I guess, so even then, you've gone as an attendee. You've never gone as someone who like worked behind the scenes and like actually
Yeah,
worked at a
yeah.
convention. Okay, so
So
that would
you know,
definitely.
I thought it was like, oh well, he's stressed. You know, we only have a limited time to get this all set up. Fine.
Right. So like yeah, that was a red flag, but that like as an experienced person like yourself, it's a red flag that you really couldn't see
Yeah.
until hindsight
And
kicked in.
yeah, basically. And also, like, I already felt like I'd committed to the whole weekend, so I didn't want to be, you know, I didn't want to storm off after the first night.
Exactly.
Um, did not feel good.
Mm.
Uh, anyway, that's definitely how you get trapped into things. And, advice from hindsight. If you think you're seeing red flags, you probably are.
That is actually a real. It's like if you think you see it, start getting a little more critical of what you're hearing and seeing.
I kind of took that into my second job after that, which I left a few months ago, where I started noticing that some of the new management that was being brought in was being, like, hyper-critical of how things were being done, and I was like, I'm not doing this dance again.
Oh
I'm
God.
good.
I'm
I
good.
was at that job for a really long time, and I really liked it, and I really liked my coworkers, and I liked the managers that I came in under, but we got some new, upper management folks in, and I was like, nope,
No, yeah, I've heard of that happening. So
not a dance I'm doing again.
it's like, oh, it's like everyone is great, and then a new manager comes in, and then it just kind of throws
Yeah,
everything off.
for us it was the new they got like a new store manager who's like the senior dude, and he was fine, a little bit clueless but fine. The real problem was that they got in a new asset protection guy that was just long pause. You can't see me rolling my eyes, but know that I am. One of those people that's like, I have a small amount of power in this specific area, and I am going to use it to the extreme extent that I can. Which is exactly what Steve is.
I mean, to be fair, yep. Then you caught it. You're like, I'm not getting caught in this again. Bye.
Nope. So, you learn, I guess.